No good movie is too long, and no bad movie is short enough. A brief disclaimer, we cannot claim the cinematic clarity of Mr. Roger Ebert. In fact, we've set out to prove that despite all reason and logic, even two witless wonders can become the unlikely heroes of the cinematic universe. From comedy to drama, romance to horror, and anything in between, you don't need a film critic to know which movies hit the mark, which ones come up short, and what snacks you definitely need to try along the way. Sometimes all you need are the film fucks.
In a world where stars are born and sometimes they die and maybe
Sometimes
not.
they die, sometimes they're.
Spoilers.
Oh god, yeah, that is a huge spoiler.
Yeah.
Right away, we're spoiling the shit out of this movie. Of course, we're talking about A Star is Born, starring Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga. And we're the Film Fucks. I'm Walter, and this is my boy,
I'm Ryan.
Ryan.
Yeah. This is my boy.
My wee
We're
boy.
a father and son team, clearly. I mean,
Yeah,
when
as
Wally
you could
talks,
tell from my deep guttural voice.
Yes, when Wally talks, you
I'm
can
like
tell
65
he's
years
65 years old. He had me when he was 40. It's really fucked up. Yeah. I'm just
It
sitting
just
here
happens sometimes, man.
eating
Like
Doritos.
Sam Elliott and Bradley Cooper in this movie, dude.
Oh shit.
Who would have known they're brothers?
Wait, are you telling me that you fucked an 18-year-old and got her pregnant?
I'm not saying anything.
Okay.
I ain't saying shit.
God.
Anyways, yeah. Where do
Anyways.
we even start with this movie?
Okay.
I guess the beginning.
What I really wanted to talk about was the fact that, you know, it had a lot of tropes that I see. So I'm a big fan of theater, musical theater specifically, and I see a lot of tropes in this movie that are like very prevalent in musical theater, and it seems like it's not always the best types of tropes and themes. Like, it's pretty generic, it's pretty
like,
basic.
There's like tropes just like sprinkled throughout the movie. Nothing lingers for like too long. I kind of wish there was like more drama in this movie. I mean, there's plenty of drama.
Wait, what do you elaborate? What do you mean you wish there was more drama? A guy pisses his pants on stage at the Emmys? Oscars? No, it's Grammys.
It was Grammys, man.
Yeah.
Okay, it's not even that big of a deal. People do it all the time.
People piss on stage at the Grammys. The Grammys all the time.
I guess like I don't know. The drama just felt so infrequent. It just felt like it kind of came out of nowhere, and it was kind of like heavy-handed, like especially towards the end of the movie. But I guess it's. I feel most movies nowadays don't really operate like that, so it kind of took me off guard. Like maybe that's more of a musical sort of.
Yeah,
Thing
I mean,
too.
it is just kind of because like it's like this idea that there's drama underneath all this happiness. Like, yes, like throughout
Yeah.
the movie you see these like very frequent instances where Bradley Cooper's character is clearly suffering from like a lot of addiction and a lot of like really bad things. And
Depression,
yeah, and it's just like juxtaposed pretty drastically with all these really happy, uplifting scenes. And then in the end, yeah, it kind of gets a little heavy-handed because it's like, oh no, this is
Yeah.
the payoff. And like the weird thing is that that's the only payoff. Like, we
That is
only
true.
get like, that's why it feels so heavy-handed, because the only thing that we get, we don't see like a return to happiness. We just see like, oh no, everything's shitty, and then we have this like last song that's still shitty.
Yeah.
And then
The last song is just kind of a terrible song for them to
yeah,
go out. It's very like I don't know, like so at the end Bradley Cooper dies.
yes.
Boo-hoo.
Jesus Christ, Wally!
That's
You were
terrible.
crying. You were sobbing
I'm
in the
like,
theater. You were
Can't
just
believe it. They killed Rocket Raccoon, dude.
yeah, like well
He
they
should
didn't.
stick to-
He did. So yeah,
should
spoiler
Stick
alert.
to
If
comedy.
you guys don't like suicide, or if you like suicide,
Oh god. See Suicide Squad.
See Suicide Squad. Weirdly, there's no suicide in Suicide Squad. Unless you count the guy jumping away and having his neck explode.
Explode,
it's
yeah.
not really
they have,
suicide.
Yeah, this, oh, gosh.
They're like, hey, we put these explosive collars on you. He's like, I can outrun
this one
the
character that's not white
collars.
that said, like, one line and has punched a woman. That's his intro.
Oh, God, Wally. You know, all of our listeners have seen Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
That's
their favorite scene.
One.
That's my favorite
They know
scene.
it. No,
back by heart. So, things back on track. So Bradley Cooper writes this song of how he never wants to love again, that this is his one true love that he's met in Lady Gaga. But from what I could tell in the film, it's like he wrote this song for her to sing, because this was like towards the end of his depression. It felt, I don't know, like a very narcissistic song.
Well, I don't think he wrote it for her. I think he just like wrote it. Because it's like, it clearly was written for her in the like actual, like, if you think of the meta thing of the narrative, like it wasn't written for him. He starts singing it a little bit, and he's I don't know if they were trying to like be like, oh yeah, he can't really hear very well anymore, so it's not like he can stay.
That is so weird. There's like a weird subplot of like he's losing his hearing. There's no payoff.
No, there's no pay. So yeah, throughout the movie, you get these like glimpses where Sam Elliott's character is like, "Hey, you need to put in your hearing aids. Hey, you need to put in these like."
Oh, and Sam Elliott plays his brother, by the way. I don't think we mentioned that.
I think we may have, but yes, Sam Elliott plays the older brother of Bradley Cooper, and they address the fact that it's a weird, gigantic age gap.
You know, they foreshadow that, like, Bradley Cooper has Sam Elliott as a brother, though, because freaking Bradley Cooper is mumbling through this whole movie, and I'm, like, thinking to myself, he sounds like a familiar cowboy, and then that familiar cowboy steps in, and I'm
his first scene, it's glorious. So he's walking from like basically the backstage area.
You know, top three things you think of when it's Sam Elliott: that voice, that mustache, and that wonderful head of hair.
I did not realize how artificial and fake and like plasticky his hair
It looks like cake frosting.
Yes, that's the best way to describe it. Until I had to watch him walk down stairs from the back for like a minute and a half to get up to the stage to talk to Bradley Cooper about something.
Well, wasn't he mumbling on the way down? He was probably mumbling. He mumbled through this whole freaking movie.
I think it was just like, and maybe like you could hear Bradley Cooper like sound checking in the background.
Yeah. I think you're right.
And that's probably why, because they sound so similar.
And then he's like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Or he's mad at him.
No, not there. No, he's just like, "Hey, you need to put these on," and Bradley Cooper's like, "No, I don't want to."
Gotcha.
It's when I don't know. I can't even remember why they were getting pissed at each other. That was later, and he's like, "You really need to wear your things. You're gonna go deaf." And then somehow it escalated into a fight about who stole whose music.
Yeah. So again, there's a lot of things that are sprinkled on, and nothing for better or worse. Nothing's like drawn out like too long. Like, it's definitely a movie that I think is worth multiple viewings to like kind of piece things together. But I mean, at the end, I enjoyed it, but it was, I don't know. I think it's not supposed to be a super satisfying film. It's definitely supposed to be a sad movie.
See, I know. I was talking to a couple of people, and they were like, and they were older, and they're like, "Oh, this movie was excellent. Like, I definitely want to see this movie again." And
it's a good date movie.
Where a guy falls in love, or a guy and a girl fall in love. They go on this epic adventure of music and love, and then the guy kills himself. Hey, isn't that the best date movie?
Well, you know, you got a little realism at the end.
Everybody kills himself. But no, I guess I think it's because it's just a very basic, very old school movie.
Yeah,
Like
this feels
the
very old
story
school.
is
They don't make
very
movies
old. It's not
like
it's
this anymore.
well, they just the story like we like a little more depth to the story.
Yeah,
and
I think
wasn't
we've
a
kind of
lot.
gone past this kind of story, or it hasn't been taken to the new heights that you would necessarily want for like this generation
Yeah,
of like a love story.
yeah, and that's like
I think something that does this a little bit better, like, I mean, I can't help comparing this to like something like Silver Linings Playbook, since that also has Bradley Cooper, and that deals with mental illness, which, I mean, is now getting, the justice it deserves, or the look on it on how we all kind of have different defects. And I think that movie really speaks more to this current generation than something like this, which this definitely, maybe this was supposed to be a throwback movie.
yeah, I think because I instantly compare it to like Across the Universe or other like movie musical sort of things, and
No idea what that is.
Across the Universe it uses the music of the Beatles, and it's basically just like a similar like love story, and like they like Hey There Delilah is like this thing. Oh, the girl moves away, and they have to do like a long distance thing, and
It would have been cool if like Lady Gaga could have had her like pop music in this. I don't know. They do kind of. I didn't do like any research on this, but like they kind of make fun of Lady Gaga's career, like as a whole in this. Like, I don't know how much of it was like her own input, but there's parts where she's like, "Yeah, I don't want to go blonde for her pop songs," and she just thinks some of it is just goofy, the outfits she wears and stuff.
Yeah, and it's very like I think another reason why it's like very much like not of this generation, and I kind of related to it a little more because like I'm not a big fan of modern music. I'm not a big fan of that sort of stuff.
For sure.
It's when how they parody modern music in this movie is fucking insane. It's either like old school, either country, or it's kind of like Dave Matthews Band maybe, or
Yeah. Represent.
like Grateful Dead or something. Grateful Dead kind of. It seemed like that was what a little closer to what the country-esque music they were playing. Bradley Cooper was playing, and then they go to. She becomes like a pop idol star, and she's literally singing, "Why are you walking around me in those jeans? You've got like your ass is so great." Those are the lines of the song. Like, and
well, he gets mad about those lines, doesn't he?
But yeah, that's the whole movie. The reason it seems like it's all Bradley Cooper centric is because
it doesn't feel that way.
Before what? Oh, it 100% does. Because no matter what, it's just like she's going through these changes and stuff like that, and he always does these like words of wisdom sort of moments where it's like
he does. He's kind of like a mentor.
Yeah,
to Lady Gaga,
but then she doesn't believe she doesn't do it, and then you see him have like a temper tantrum and start drinking again because she didn't listen to him.
He's kind of being a big baby.
Well, okay, there is it's a double-edged sword because it's like, okay, well, this kind of music sells, but you're also just talking about people looking hot in jeans and stuff like you're not doing anything productive. You're not. You have a good voice.
Yeah.
That lots of people are hearing.
Oh yeah, that is true. Like,
and that's he says that he's like, you don't know how long you're gonna have it. Use it well. Make a difference.
Yeah, and I mean, maybe some of that spoke to Lady Gaga. Like, now she's breaking out more into acting, and I think people were blown away a couple of years ago when she sang at the Oscars, The Sound of Music. I know I was blown away because I'm like, oh, she can actually really sing really well. It's not auto-tune filters, and it's not, I don't know. I think her music's fine, but she definitely has showed that she does have range, and she is just a fantastic singer in general, and it's not necessarily just dictated off of her pop songs.
Yeah, and I mean her pop song, like you don't become a successful artist regardless of anything because you use autotune. The thing is, you don't get that like autotune until you become famous because like it's just in general, it's just so expensive.
Yeah.
And yes, there's apps and stuff, but it's clear that you don't. Not everybody can just be a good singer.
Yeah.
And like that's like I mean, for all I don't know a lot of singers. Ariana Grande is a good singer. Don't say she isn't because she is. Like yes,
Okay.
her music is auto-tuned as fuck and it's kind of screwed up. Nicki Minaj too. Like
Yeah.
Nicki Minaj is she's more of a rapper. So it's kind of hard.
It's different.
Her singing isn't as clean cut because she uses a lot of she uses a lot of like rap styling and stuff like that in her singing.
So it's not, but it is to be
good.
Yeah.
Yes, it is good. It's technical. They know their stuff because you need to know it to get to a certain level where you can kind of be washed away by that celebrity.
Mm-hmm.
But
do you think Lady Gaga changes all that much throughout this movie?
No, her character is like flat as fuck. Like she
does. She's a very good actor in this movie.
Say that. Like she's a good actor, but the most you see her acting and stuff like that is kind of through her music.
It's through her music. Yeah, that's where she really shines, and I think those are like the best parts of the movie is just watching Lady Gaga sing, and she knows how to put on.
Is it all of the songs though? See, that's the thing. For me, it's not. For me, it's like the older, the like earlier songs in that movie.
I feel like her acting, like how she sings everything, like I mean, that spoke to me more than like any lines that she had during the movie, and like even we didn't talk very highly about the last song. It's like she. You know, this man still had an emotional impact on her, and she's trying to hold it together. She doesn't know what's gonna happen from that point.
Yeah, I don't know. It seems like a weird song to have right at the end. Like
it's definitely a downer.
Well, like there's tons like in Greatest Showman. There's like that big ballad that the wife sings.
Yeah.
Can't remember off the top of my head who that actress is. She's Australian. That's all I know. She's a redhead. She's Australian.
Yeah.
And like it's a good ballad, but like as a movie ender, there's like not a lot of substance, and that song is like really very simple. And if you,
I feel there's parts that. I don't like flesh out this world more of like all the friends that Lady Gaga has like before she's a superstar and like these people who support her. Like I really like the dad in this movie. How like there really isn't a point where he's like, oh, I think you're going too fast with this guy. Like he supports her and everything, and you know he's watching her on like YouTube and stuff like with her. I'm like that's a very nice like supportive parent moment.
Yeah.
That like I feel that character normally wouldn't be played that way, so
I feel like every character in this movie except for maybe Lady Gaga, I don't think she has a lot of faults, or she's like kind of like dual. Like
she's kind of perfect, yeah.
That's the thing is like, but the dad like and her friend group seems to be like, oh, they're like the best people, like they're just good people. But even her dad, like, early on they talk about how, oh, he just wants to be famous. Like, he's going to support her because he knows, like, he can... Because he's always talking... Because they have that confrontation where she's like, Dad, you just tell people you chauffeured for other people, for famous people, and you make it seem like that makes you famous. But it doesn't. And...
I don't even remember that,
oh, really?
That part.
It's like midway through.
Probably went to the bathroom at that point.
I wouldn't doubt it. But
okay, then that would change
Oh
my
yeah,
opinion completely.
because you do see, like, he's always talking about how he could have been Frank
He could
Sinatra.
have been Frank Sinatra. Yeah, they talk about that like 3 different times.
Yeah, and he's obsessed with like being famous, I think. And
okay,
so
that definitely, yeah.
And that's it's always like the person, and this is another trope of like, oh, people coming to Hollywood, is that you see the only person that's like gets actually famous or has all this incredible success is the person that A, doesn't want it, or B, is like innocent in some weird way. Like, it's like, oh, Hollywood just wants the innocent individual, the person who like is just inherently good at something and doesn't necessarily start off having the ability to like be Hollywood. Like, that's when she's doing her first gigs, it's like her manager starts getting mad at her because she's dismissing all of the dancers because she just wants it to be about the music. It's like she's very innocent, she's very pure about what she's doing. All she cares about is the music. And then she just gets swept up and she can't like continue to not just be the Hollywood's thing. And that's kind of it's different from most of those like Hollywood type movie, like coming into Hollywood movies, because in the end, like, she's not punished for it. Usually what'll happen is like she'll be punished for it, but in the end it kind of is like, oh no, it is just all about the music. Because I guess that's what the last one was supposed to symbolize. But
yeah, it like this movie isn't really about the music. It's about, I mean, it is about stars and like telling your own story. So yeah, by the end, like, I've heard some people kind of say that this kind of feels like a vanity project for like Bradley Cooper. And I can definitely see that.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
Like, when I saw that he directed it, I was like, oh, that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, because everybody wants to play that, like, broken character that, like, gets to be remembered because, in a way...
So that definitely... See, since I'm, like, that felt very, very obvious that, yeah, it was kind of a vain sort of thing, so... It took me out of the movie a little bit, but yeah, I don't know. Decent flick. I don't think like this will be the one that's going to be remembered for.
Well, because I know you said when we were coming out, you're like, wow, this thing's probably going to win some Oscars because it seems like it has a lot of Oscar bait in it.
This movie is definitely just littered with Oscar bait, and it doesn't really do anything new or really interesting. Like, I did want to see this movie to see Lady Gaga's acting, because I know that's the thing she's trying to get into, and from this, yeah, she's a pretty good actress. She kind of just plays herself in this movie, from what I could tell.
But, yeah, with a heavy Brooklyn accent, and it doesn't... Do you know anything about Lady Gaga's past, Wally? I know you said you didn't do any research for this movie.
No. Is she from Brooklyn?
I was gonna say, because like that would be really ironic if she's just from Brooklyn,
just playing
and
herself,
she's literally just turning on the accent. But
they make fun of her nose a lot in this movie too, which is
that's a throwback.
That is a throwback thing.
It's a throwback to the older movies because you have Barbra Streisand play, and it's like you don't need that shit in there.
You really don't. It's like we're a lot more Bosdy positive now, so.
Well, yeah, it's like nobody would be like, "Oh, you can't do this because you have a big nose." Yeah, because she's. Other than that, like, she's strikingly beautiful.
Yeah, she's gorgeous.
She's like and yeah, there's no reason why somebody.
Yeah, when they're like calling her ugly
and
stuff, I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, she's like hot as shit. Like, she's incredibly attractive throughout this movie, and it's just except maybe when she dyes her hair orange, that's a little weird.
Oh, teach their own, my friend.
Okay. Wally
she looked better with brunette hair.
Well, yeah, it just seemed... I don't know if that's her natural hair color, but it just looked like it was.
Yeah.
But I don't know. What do you think? Rewatchability?
Does this movie have a lot of rewatchability? I'm gonna say no. It doesn't have a great amount of rewatchability. You watch it once, you kind of get everything that you need from this sort of movie. It does kind of feel like a old school musical in that way. So I definitely say if you're a fan of Lady Gaga, if you're a fan of old musicals, definitely check this out at least once. But yeah, for my taste personally, this is like, I doubt I'll see this movie again.
No, I don't think it's necessary. I don't think it's a story that you need to see twice.
No,
it's like
you've seen this story told many times.
Especially
from this perspective too.
That's the problem. Like the story is so generic. It's like there's nothing captivating about it. And to be honest, none of the songs were memorable.
No, yeah.
There was a couple of notes that
It's been a week now since we've seen this movie, and I don't remember a single song.
I remember Lady Gaga singing "We're Far from the Shallows Now." That was the first song that she wrote in that the parking lot at the very beginning, and then he made her come on stage and sing it.
Right. They did put a lot of emphasis on that song.
Yeah. And it just I've heard people who are like, "Oh, the music's so good in it." I'm like, "Well, have you bought the album?" Like,
yeah.
And if you haven't, and I don't know a lot of people that have who said the music is good, that is.
And also, it's like the Lady Gaga stuff is so good, like compared to the Bradley Cooper stuff. Like the Bradley Cooper stuff isn't bad.
It's just so stylized. Yeah, that's why I said it's like Grateful Dead, or it's like not Hello Dave. Like
from the Magic Town.
No, Hello Dave. That's like a off-brand Dave Matthews Band, and
gotcha.
If the very small amount of people that would ever listen to this and know who Hello Dave is would probably get insanely pissed that I compared them to Dave Matthews.
So good.
It's basically the same fucking shit.
There you go.
It's not great, but like not even the music is great. No, Sam Elliott ruined that movie. I'm not gonna lie.
Okay, that's it.
I'm not gonna lie. He's great throughout, but in the pivotal scene after Bradley Cooper's character commits suicide,
yes,
there's this really emotional scene. Lady Gaga starts punching concert posters.
Yeah,
really emphasizing like this frustration and anger, and then she sits down and she and Sam Elliott are sitting there and they're talking a little bit.
Yeah, that should have been the best scene.
It should have been. It should have been the most impactful scene.
It could have been the last scene.
You're seeing, it could have been. But you're seeing like Sam Elliott, who's like traditionally not that emotional of a character or a character actor, because he is kind of a character actor.
Yeah, he's the strong cowboy type.
Yeah, he's the cowboy.
You do see him break down.
You see him break. Yeah, he breaks down and he has this like really emotional speech about like, I've lived with this man for like his entire life. I've seen this like cycle, these cycles of depression and these cycles of alcoholism and all of this stuff, and I've had to take care of him. But
fortunately, this guy mumbles through the whole freaking thing.
Yes, in the like pivotal line where he's like it's like a summation where you're supposed to get like this thing that's supposed to relieve the tension of Bradley Cooper dying, because he says it to Lady Gaga, and that's when she kind of like realizes she needs to like move on and continue to carry this with. He goes, like he mumbles. You can't understand a single fucking word he says in that entire sentence.
And and that's not the only time that happens. That happens multiple times in this movie, not just from Sam Elliott, but also from Bradley Cooper. But it also feels that's kind of part of the characters. They're both really good singers, but like as a person, like spoken wise, they're not like, they don't have that kind of clarity. So it was kind of charming at first, but yeah, to your point, like this is supposed to be this emotional look back of this man's life, like through the perspective of his brother and
of someone who's suffered as a part of it. Like he's had to suffer through not only like the physical aspects of it, but like the emotional aspects of watching a brother who is just killing himself. like regardless of what it is, it's a brother who's committing suicide throughout his life.
And, yeah, I feel the emotions out of there, but I guess personally, it didn't. Well, it didn't hit home for me. I don't know. I think
I felt all the emotion, but I don't know if it was because of the emotion or it was because of something else. But you just couldn't understand it, and that if you can't understand what he's saying, there's no reason to do that. There's no reason to just let him sit there and like stew in emotion. Because yes, it's great because you don't see a lot of emotion from Sam Elliott, or if you do, it's very subtle. Yeah. And this was not subtle, but you can't. You gotta punch that final like learning lesson line.
I'm telling you, man. Like plenty of times for this movie, I'm like, I just want to put on the subtitles.
Yeah, that's funny. I was thinking the same thing. To be honest, I never had trouble understanding them throughout the movie until that point.
My hearing's going too.
Well, no, I think it's I've when I lived in Georgia, I like knew people who talked like that, who had like very thick accents and stuff like that. Yeah. You kind of learn how to adjust to like the weird accents. And
it's not like it didn't feel purposeful. It's like it was just hard to understand.
Yeah. It was just like, okay, he has a very thick accent and he's also crying. Yeah. And very emotional. It's like these things came together to make somebody who already has like a very distinct kind of hard to understand cadence even worse.
Sam Elliott is easy to understand when he speaks slow, which is most of the time he does speak very slow. So this is just... It's very out of character from like most of the things I've seen him do, and yeah, he does a good job in this though.